Self.
Bryson.exe,
That's
50%.
crashed, yes. um,
Well, I was going to
But
jump in
yeah.
and say, or
Yeah.
say about your whole argument, or not argument, but the whole, the mythology, the ethos. That director has actually confirmed some of the things.
Mhm.
If we can go based on that, and yes, it was something to that akin. But and I agree, every dub that comes to America, which I believe everything deserves a dub. Yes, that includes the shows that most people would find distasteful or just plain wrong, like an Arrow Manga Sensei or redo of Healer. You do not have to say anything about that. I know I know the game. I know the game. But yes, a show that comes over to the state, I believe, should be dubbed, and that dub should be handled with care. It shouldn't be, oh, this anime was super big, and it's gonna be on TV over in America. So if you ruin the dub, it's your butt is grass.
Mhm.
Versus, oh, that's just another titty anime. Don't worry, you don't have to be. You don't have to. No one cares about them titty animes, or it's just it doesn't matter if we flub up the dub on that one. It's not as important. No, it should be okay. That we're trying to make money off of this, and the dub is what helps sell the product. So let's make the best English dub we can.
And to that point too, yeah. It's I sorry to if this is something you didn't want to like talk about or anything like that, but I feel like I also come at it from the perspective of somebody who has the option of watching like a subtitled version or anything like that to read through. But I know that there are a lot of people to which, like for somebody like yourself, I believe, it's also an accessibility thing where having something in your native language, it makes it a lot more accessible to watch. Or if like you have something like dyslexia, which makes it really hard to read subtitles fast enough to really have an enjoyable experience watching something in subtitled form. And so I feel like it's also important for accessibility purposes to have English dubs that are faithful enough to stand alone as their own like very solid pieces of media for people who need it to be able to enjoy. But at the same time, like with the comedy and stuff like that, I feel like it's still important again to make sure that comedy lands and stuff like that when it's warranted. But I guess, and this is kind of weird because it's your interview with me, but I was going to ask, like, what do you typically prefer when approaching a new show or an English dub? Like, what do you, as somebody who relies a little bit more on English dubs as an accessibility thing, I couldn't think of the word. Is it something that you find that you tend to prefer whenever dubs stick to the script as much, or do you find like there's like this gray area that you try to sit in between, I guess, if that's the word I'm looking for?
Okay, so just to make sure I understand, because there have been times where you cut in and out.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, we could polish it up. Editor man, you know who you are. You can fix it. That's why I'm paying you.
And that's why I'm recording on my end as a backup too. So
yeah,
Discord is weird.
Good stuff. Yeah, it is. But if you're asking me when approaching an anime, how do I look? How faithful do I want the script to be? It honestly, because it's.
And I guess more also from the perspective of because like you've told me you're blind. I don't know if there are like technologies around that make watching subtitle like I imagine there's like screen readers and stuff like that help read subtitles, but I would imagine watching something in English dub is the more preferential just because it's in your language and it's easier to I would imagine.
Well, actually, the preferential is English dub with the audio description, but nobody except for Netflix is ever going to do that.
And that's another thing that I really wish that anime was able to, or I don't know if it's not a matter of whether they're able to or if they just don't think about it, but like adding something like audio description would definitely be a lot better. In my view. Okay,
so you have dubbed Saint Seiya, and it has gone on Netflix. I'm going to say it in the most non ranty way possible. If you're looking at Saint Seiya with all the audio options, you see English. English normal, all right. Spanish, okay. French, yeah. German, okay. Japanese original. Yeah, that's cool. Japanese audio description.
So is it
in
Japanese?
American Netflix?
So is it audio description with the audio descriptions in Japanese as well, or did they?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So it is useless to somebody who does not speak Japanese.
Oh yeah. I've actually found myself, and I am surprised that it hasn't become more of a standardized thing in anime dubbing. I think it's something that should definitely be discussed more in the public space, because I've found myself even using the audio description language track on other stuff while like doing chores around the house. It makes it easier to where I don't have to constantly like move my head over to the screen whenever I'm like something's visually happening. It's I think I watched a good chunk of Better Call Saul that way, doing dishes or laundry or something like that. And it's so I even without the accessibility like angle of it, it's also just really convenient to be able to have as an optional language track. But I mean, for somebody like yourself, I imagine that's like it's a godsend to have that there, and I definitely agree. It's something that should be discussed more prominently, I think.
I've only really seen one studio release a Blu-ray of an anime with audio description, and that alone made me want to buy it, even though I'm not into the genre that it was a part of. It was a boys' love anime that was directed and paints that was the blood, sweat, and tears of Sentai's own David Wald and Marissa Lenti.
Oh, was it Love Stage?
No. It was a collection for another studio. It's like I forget what it's called, but it's like this boy is a professional wizard. This boy suffers from crystallization. Like it has the word "this boy" in front of it.
Yeah,
and
I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar. I think that the source material might have been like a light novel or a visual novel of some kind or something, but yeah.
I have no idea, but I know that it comes with an audio CD that's in English, which is another rarity. Like the care, love, and treatment that they put into this dub, not only did it have extras out the wazoo, yes, the wazoo.
We're using big boy words here. No, sure.
Yes. They have audio description. They have sign language for the deaf, which everything can have sign language for the deaf. I'm not bitter, I swear. It has outtakes, commentaries, an audio drama CD. It's something that you could tell that the people behind it really had love for the English release, and it's the only reason I don't buy it is because it's boys love, and I'm not a fan of that. That's not my genre. So
no worries.
What the audio description aspect of it is like, can I have more of this, please? I would love, and it would honestly, like a studio like Sentai Filmworks, because I know it's a much smaller entity compared to something like a Funimation or a Crunchyroll or whatever. I can't believe Funimation's not existent anymore.
Yeah, right. That's crazy.
We lived in that time, bro. We're both around the same age. That happened in our time.
Yeah. It's a lot. I feel like a lot has happened in the anime world in just the past few decades. Like in the 90s, you probably would never imagine that anime would be as big as it is today. And I think I remember, I don't watch this stuff all the time, but every now and then I'll catch a video by Mother's Basement on YouTube, and I think I follow him on Twitter. And I don't remember if it was in a video he mentioned this or if it was on a tweet, but he had said something about how the majority of anime that's ever existed was made in the last 10 years, and it's crazy. Yeah,
I can believe that, but it also, I don't know, I feel like too many cooks spoil the pot. And
oh, totally. And I don't think he was like presenting it as like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. It's just that like it's crazy that in the past 10 years it has become this just monolith of media to where it's been being made to such a grand scale that you never would have imagined 20, 30 years ago. And like you said, there's definitely negatives to that as well. I think I remember this was a couple days ago. I was tweeting about the whole AI generated backgrounds and stuff for something that's coming out later. And I won't harp too much on it, but I feel like stuff like that is definitely an example of some of the negatives of what happens when it becomes such a big industrialized thing.
So do you think they'll start replacing the voices or the voice actors because of this, or do you think that just everything will, or that will become things will become too lazy and they'll regress?
I don't personally think that the technology is quite there for AI voice regeneration. I don't think it's there yet. But hearing where it is now and where it was maybe even just a couple of years ago, I can definitely see within 10 years that technology developing to the point where maybe not so much in anime where production, so anime is really huge, but production is still, in comparison to most Western media like video games or Western animation or TV and film, production in anime is still pretty low budget in comparison. So it may still be too expensive in terms of just work and man hours to hire a bunch of people to program and make sure that the AI voices sound fine and stuff like that in anime English subs. So in terms of that field, I feel like we might be safe at least a little bit longer than like film and TV. And I had hypothesized about the recent announcement by DC. They had mentioned that going forward, they're going to start having the same actor play characters in all forms of media. So like, if they hire the new Superman, he's going to be Superman in the movies coming out. He's going to be the Superman in all their cartoons.
Wow.
And all that stuff. Yeah, they had announced that, I think, sometime last week. And some people were dreading the fact that, like, well, there goes a lot of voiceover work for the non-huge celebrities that aren't going to get cast in these blockbuster films. But I had hypothesized, I was like, wait, because there's a lot of talk about contracts there's been a lot of SAG contracts and stuff like that, where there are like little clauses talking about how the studio has the right to utilize the actor's work to train future like synthesizations of that voice and that characterization in perpetuity and stuff like that. And it's a lot of like legalese lawyer speak for whatever you record for this project, we can then turn around and use to train AI and stuff like that later on. And there's a lot of people within the industry that are trying to have that stricken from any contracts that they go on to going forward, refuse to do any projects that require them to agree to such a thing and stuff like that. And it's definitely in the early stages of like, it's just starting to become a concern. And I feel like fewer and fewer people are worried about it right now because of where the technology stands right now. And I'll agree, the technology as it stands right now still, I don't think would be able to replace a real human performance. But I have also seen that one of the ways that the AI can be used and can work is they'll take the voice print of like a Morgan Freeman or a SpongeBob, and they've already kind of done this. There's like a TikTok voice filter that people can use where their voice is in real time, or at least processed and changed to a fake voice filter, and it sounds not like passable.
Very close.
It sounds close enough where it's like, well, this is kind of concerning because like in 10 years, how is this going to sound? And one of the things that's already pretty regularly used, one of the things that they do in American TV and film and stuff like that, when they want to hire like a celebrity cast member for a cartoon or a video game. I'm not saying this is all the time, but this has happened where they'll have a voice actor who is like of lower renown, who will be willing to go in for the lowest day rate and record down like a scratch track for that celebrity to later then come in and essentially copy the performance. They might throw in their own little things here and there, but essentially those scratch tracks exist so that they can reduce the amount of studio time that they have to pay for with the actual big name celebrity. And one of the things that I had like hypothesized, and it's entirely speculation, this is based on absolutely nothing, but one of the things that I think that a lot of companies might see that technology and go, oh, well, we can hire a scratch track voiceover artist and then just train the AI with the scratch voiceover artist's performance, and then just pay like a fee to the celebrity actor to use their voice print, and essentially not credit the scratch artists, and then just AI impose the celebrity voice over the scratch artist's performance, and then just pay pay what would probably be less than a studio fee for actually having the celebrity come in and physically record the stuff itself, and then just say it was that celebrity actor. I'm not, again, this is conspiracy theory, like making a bunch of weird speculations and stuff like that, but I truly believe that's something that some companies would probably try to do at some point within the next decade or so.
An actor. So like I think so like an actor, like a voice matched actor, like for example the video games when they've had their likeness, or the cartoons they've had different voice actors, like an Eddie Murphy for example. He, instead of that voice, wouldn't it cut cost more in your thought with that thought process to just hire the voice match and not use the voice act, or not use the, I guess it would be the actor's name or the person's name, the celebrity's name, in just attracting people. But yeah, I could. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But I think it would just cut costs. I mean, besides having the name, it would cut costs with the fact that you have the voice match.
No, exactly, and that's one of the problems I can foresee with it, is that it's entirely a cost-cutting measure. So if the studio can agree, let's say for example, let's use something related to anime, Kingdom Hearts. A lot of the Disney characters in Kingdom Hearts are voice matches from those older games, because a lot of times celebrity voice actors, or celebrity actors in general, Disney uses a lot of celebrity talent in their movies. And so they'll hire somebody to come in and voice match that actor to save money, because it costs less to get in a voice match person than the actual celebrity. A celebrity's time is worth a ton more, not even just the name of the celebrity, but their time is very expensive. So if the studios,
unless they're James Woods.
yeah,
He'll be in anything.